My name is Simone Brott and I lecture and write on the architectural image. Today's talk is entitled Cryptoarchitecture, a Primer in Architecture NFTs. His whole retinue stared and stared. One saw no more than another, but they all joined the emperor in exclaiming, "Oh, it's very pretty," and they advised him to wear clothes made of this wonderful cloth, especially for the great procession he was soon to lead. Magnificent, excellent, unsurpassed were bandied from mouth to mouth, and everyone did his best to seem well pleased. The emperor gave each of the swindlers a cross to wear in his buttonhole and the title of Sir Weaver. "But he hasn't got anything on," the whole town cried out at last. The emperor shivered, for he suspected they were right, but he thought, "This procession has got to go on," so he walked more proudly than ever. The emperor's new clothes, Hans Christian Andersen. The emperor has no clothes, but he has an NFT, a digital outfit. In 2020, Benoit Pagotto, Chris Lee, and Stephen Vasilev founded RTFKT Studios, a sneaker brand whose NFT shoes exist only in a digital world. In 7 minutes, they had sold $3 million because the imaginary garment is more valuable than a wearable. An intangible asset without use value is priceless in the Kantian sense, and that is what the emperor understands. In other words, the emperor is not stupid, but prescient. He desires exposure lest he miss out on capitalizing on this rare asset while chancing his brand and influencer status to parade nothingness. The NFT tells us less about the value of the commodity than the values of the consumer, us, the mass spectator, our love of pure digitality, weightlessness, and the selling parade itself in all its madness. One of the first big NFT sales was Chris Torres's neon cat animated meme, a cat with a Pop-Tart body emitting a rainbow trail, shared hundreds of millions of times, but 10 years later sold on Foundation as an NFT for $580,000. Twitter founder Jack Dorsey's first tweet here recently sold as an NFT for $2.9 million. While Elon Musk just NFT'd his tweet of a techno song about NFT with the lyrics, "NFT for your vanity, computers never sleep, it's verified, it's guaranteed." In February, Canadian artist Grimes sold a group of music videos and digital art for $6 million. But the highest NFT sale to date is Beeple's digital opus Every Day is the First 5,000 Days that seam together digital work created over 5,000 days, selling in March for $69 million in the first Christie's auction to sell an NFT. In the last 3 months, NFTs have exploded in the cryptocurrency industry. A non-fungible token is a unit of data stored on a blockchain, meaning a decentralized digital ledger or database that certifies the uniqueness and authenticity of a digital asset, such as a piece of music or art. NFTs are stored on the blockchain and auctioned on NFT marketplaces, the main ones being OpenSea, Rarible, SuperRare, and Foundation. The token is linked to and represents what's called a non-fungible, meaning unique and non-interchangeable assets, such as a house or artwork, which we can't exchange with each other. They're considered unique collectibles, as opposed to what's called a fungible or interchangeable asset like cryptocurrency or money. So, for example, 5 Bitcoins can be substituted with any other 5 Bitcoins. NFT sales are executed with smart contracts, algorithms built into the blockchain, which trigger actions based on predefined parameters, e.g. they automate royalty split payments at the end of an auction. Architecture NFTs have entered the market in an utterly primitive state. By this, I mean the work is neither by architects, nor is it architecture. The first NFT house, the Mars House, was created on an iPad by the artist Krista Kim for the metaverse, the sum of all collective 3D virtual worlds such as Fortnite, Decentraland, and Second Life. It sold for 288 Ether or $512,000 to me, an architect, a flat, unremarkable design, scarcely a house, rather a series of developer views framed by a dimensionless floor and roof hazily shrouded in rainbow light beams. but that Kim claims is her dream house. The artist said when she advertised the house on Super Rare, she wanted to see if it would sell for the amount of an actual house, which it did. Whatever we think about this, it's clear that artists have seen the commercial potential for crypto architecture before architects. One of the only practicing architects to have sold NFTs is Chris Pratt, but his NFTs are not architecture, but digital art, like this. In another example, the virtual exhibition Blocks of Blockchain at the forthcoming Venice Biennale, curated by Tom Kovacs, included this very compelling brutalist sculpture NFT of liquid raw blocks by designer Marc Lescalier, entitled Cryptoplasm. In another iteration, Andres Reisinger sold his collection of impossible virtual furniture entitled The Shipping for $450,000. Each of the virtual items can be placed in any metaverse. In a similar vein, Alexis Christodoulou sells surrealist architectural renderings as NFTs. NFT buildings that mirror iconic buildings in the real world, like the Eiffel Tower, are being auctioned en masse within Harish Lotlikar's virtual real estate platform, Superworld, that will soon introduce digital billboards to lease advertising space for Superworld architecture. But this is Disney World NFT. It's neither new nor is it architecture, neither is it innovative in any way. Buying NFTs for the metaverse is best illustrated by Jean Baudrillard's reading of the tale by Jorge Luis Borges, where people live on an elaborate map and the citizens obsessively invest all their resources to ensure their place in the map world is accurately documented by the map makers. Meanwhile, reality withers. But NFTs are very real, and real buildings are also being traded on the NFT market, of course. The Edersheim House, 862 Fenimore in New York State, developed by the architect Paul Rudolph, has been listed in OpenSea with an opening price of 1 Ether worth $4,000. Buyers bid on the real house using cryptocurrency, but then closed the deal outside of blockchain using actual money. Shane Dulgaroff, a real estate investor, has listed the title to a physical home in Thousand Oaks, California, also on OpenSea for 540 Ether or $1.5 million. What's interesting about it is he's also thrown in an NFT artwork by the artist Key Arens. So he's blending a real house with digital NFT artwork. So what can we learn from these salubrious examples? Here is my NFT manifesto. 1, NFTs are about consumption, not production. While architectural production and labor have dominated architectural discourse of the last 10 years, such as the fascination with construction and fabrication. 2, architecture NFTs is purely visual, as architectural pornography, or what I call porntecture, are the territory of the addict. Their platforms prize fetish over use or exchange value, which are increasingly irrelevant. Do you feel you need exposure to NFTs, that an asset bubble is underway, that you must have exposure, that you must buy an NFT? That is what drives the market. 3, the ideological genesis of needing NFTs is the ideology of what I call digital world capitalism that strives to replace real buildings with the hologram, with the hyperreal, a process already underway, as I discussed in my book, Digital Monuments. The ideological need is backed by the desiring machine of capitalism that always pushes to unchain capital, to financialize dreams lifted away from any hard underlying asset. 4, in NFT hyperreality, crypto architecture is entirely liberated from building codes, the laws of physics, ethics, social responsibility, and all those other inconvenient things. NFTs are therefore the dream of the iconic architecture industry. NFTs will kill architecture. I'm being tongue-in-cheek, obviously. 5, the NFT image precedes the original, and originality is now a totally meaningless concept. Baudrillard, but we can take Jean Baudrillard's formula further. NFTs reveal what was already the case. architectural images have already functioned as the original since the start of the millennium, with large-scale iconic buildings like Rem Koolhaas's CCTV tower only being realised some 10 years after the image had already been aggressively downloaded over 1 million times. Doing the architect's ideological work effectively, again, without any need of constructing anything. The NFT market obviously obviates the need for anything to be built. So what? While NFTs destroy the sacred idea of objecthood, and this is number 6 in my manifesto, the NFT market is obsessed with digital authenticity anointed by the blockchain and from which NFTs derive their lifeblood. Finally, 7, under the rule of the iconic architecture industry, NFTs are what Marx called fictitious capital, like stocks or securities, with their promises, claims, and legal titles linked to future production, a real building, and with the promise of future income generated by realized development that may never and need not happen. Opinions on NFTs and why these are bad arguments, in my opinion. One critique of NFTs, a fair one, is that the image backing the NFT can be so easily copied. Why pay $69 million for an NFT if I can take a screenshot of the work for free? Because NFTs provide verifiable uniqueness or originality in the digital world. And that's what that means. A downloaded version of Beeple's art is as worthless as an imitation Chanel bag. So the next question, how do you value an NFT? Okay, if it's not use value, how do we value an NFT? It's the same as always. It's what anyone is willing to pay to own the NFT rather than the copy. In a pretentious video posted on his Instagram account, architect Chris Precht announced he was withdrawing his NFT'd artworks due to the environmental impact of mining digital tokens. He said the carbon emissions associated with the blockchain are horrible. My response to him is, first, this is not architecture anyway. Second, the actual building industry is responsible for 40% of all greenhouse emissions worldwide, as I've cited previously, according to studies duplicated in the US, UK, and Australia. So architects criticizing blockchain should stop building. Yeah, yes. Are NFTs worse than the traditional art auction system? Is blockchain more energy inefficient than the cost of hosting eBay or Patreon? What is the real reason architects have not entered the NFT space? Unlike art, architectural images have always been perceived as bundled to a future building, as 1, advertising or concept images, or 2, as a visionary device that proposes a future world, like the revolutionary drawings of the Russian constructivist avant-garde, or Mies van der Rohe's radical glass skyscraper drawings for Friedrichstrasse, or even, films like Blade Runner. These were catalysts for the architectural imaginary, sacred and never to be sold. There are exceptions. Frank Gehry has trademarked all images of the Guggenheim Bilbao. So, for example, this particular photograph printed in my book by a completely unattributed author and unattributed photographer, because we couldn't find one, I still had to pay Gehry $300 for the image because he owns it legally. Another example, the increasing financialization of architectural images can also be observed through visualization studios, what are called render farms, like Hoyne, a colleague of mine, who sell city visioning and so-called place branding, liberated from architectural firms who have absolutely nothing to do with the digital renderings and city visions coming out of this outfit. Architects themselves, like Vincent Calabeau, who gives me all of his images for free. I can print them wherever I like. He's never charged me. Those architects, I thank you, who view built design as their core business, don't see they are giving away principal assets, their intellectual property intrinsic to their branding. This renders the architectural apparatus of electronic assets intangible and valueless. But intangible assets are hugely valuable, as proven by Facebook, Amazon, Google, and so on. There is currently no framework, however, for driving value and drawing investment to architectural images. Why are architects not coming to the party? For a very simple reason. It's very difficult to believe that Rem Koolhaas or Zaha Hadid architects would be willing to sell architecture NFTs of their work like this, okay, that came out of ZHA Studio, alongside an animated cat, okay? To be clear, when I say architecture, I mean it in the way we architects understand it, not as building, not as real estate, not as art, not as wallpaper, not as pictures, but as formally radical intervention into architectural and urban space, an exclusive crypto architecture platform for architects working at the cutting edge of practice, like the highly elite, highly curated, competitive super rare platform for renowned digital artists, does not exist. There's no equivalent in architecture for super rare. In future, and you can say Simon Brott said it first, original architecture will be designed purely for NFT sale. This will have a huge impact on architectural practice. It will change the way buildings are built as NFTs push the limits of what is possible in the architectural imagination. The NFT space represents the extreme limit of iconic architecture that already seeks to defy the laws of physics and to stretch what is formally possible and buildable, while financially NFTs could open up a suite of new financial products that would revolutionize praxis. So here is a list that I'm going to read out of new financial products that I've cooked up. Some of them are already happening, some are a distant future, far away, who knows. New architecture NFTs, okay? This could be the present, this could be next week. Zaha Hadid Architects could sell an image NFT to a developer who sells it on to other developers at a profit and so on without building anything. The firm would receive royalties each time the NFT is traded. Instead of financializing a small number of built projects over a lifetime, given buildings are so slow to construct, it could financialize thousands of designs adapted to any site. The NFT example too could be securitized by being fractionalized into 1,000 NFT units without building anything. Securitization bundles the payment streams of a set of mortgages into a series of units or bonds sold to investors. What does it mean to fractionalize an NFT? You can create a whole suite of NFTs out of one NFT. They're still non-fungible. Each one is unique, represented by its own code. The way that it was explained to me, and an easy way of understanding it, is in an example someone used to explain how can we democratize NFT art. At the moment, one person who bought Beeple's artwork for $69 million, there aren't many investors who could afford that. But what if Beeple's digital art had a grid laid over it? The example I was given was take the Mona Lisa painting, overlay a grid on top of the Mona Lisa, turn each square in this grid into, say, 1,000 NFTs. And then me, the investor, comes along, I can buy a square of the Mona Lisa. I can invest in 1,000 NFTs. Each square represents 1,000 NFTs. If I'm rich, I can afford a square in the middle of the face of the Mona Lisa, which would be more valuable than 1,000 NFTs in the bottom right square of this grid. So this is how you could actually unitize a painting. And this is how we could fractionalize an architectural NFT of an image. Option 3, the rights to sale of that architectural image that backs the NFT could also be NFT'd and securitized, like the 1997 Bowie bond, an asset-backed security which used the current and future revenue from albums recorded by pop icon David Bowie as collateral. Okay, this idea of future revenue as well, I'm going to talk about that. In our next example, we could scale up the architecture NFT of a single image into a bundle of digital renderings representing an architect's master plan, or we could bundle multiple master plans. So Patrick Schumacher, who created the backdrop to this slide and who took over Zaha Hadid's office after her death, could design a future city whose master plan and associated bundle of renderings could be securitized into NFT units or fractions and sold to investors. The rights to duplicate that master plan 10 times in different locations in the world, that could be NFT'd. Eventually, if and when built in Asia or the Middle East, NFT units in that city design's revenue streams could be sold on and on and on, royalties as per the original example. A Wall Street banker could create a new financial instrument by bundling multiples of this previous example, bundling multiple city master plans by multiple iconic architects, securitized into hundreds and thousands of NFTs, divided into tranches. If you've seen The Big Short, you'll understand this. A tranche is a group of assets grouped by various factors, each tranche carrying different risk and yields without any involvement with architects. UN Studio and MVRDV imagine they might stop building anything at all and rather NFT their renderings of mega cities for Asian and Middle Eastern clients. Think of all the archived master plans, the ones that have never been built, that could be generating these income streams, specifically iconic architects. Experience NFTs is another idea that I had. So this is already happening in the sporting world, where baseball tickets to big games are being NFT'd and auctioned off, and people are speculating on those tickets and on selling them. Geary could, in our case, auction 100 golden tickets, golden NFT tickets, I will call them, to be one of the first 100 people to view a new iconic building. So I could be one of the first 100 to get this initial viewing of a brand new building by Frank Gehry before the building is open to the public. My one ticket would be equal to one NFT token sold for, say, $1,000, and maybe it also includes renderings of the building that haven't yet been published. The ticket could then become a collector's item, and then I get to say I was one of the first to see that building. The owner, me, could sell the token on, with me and Geary, the owner, earning royalties each time it trades. You could go to an iconic building, have your experience recorded and minted on the blockchain, so you get filmed as you enter the building. You can then say, this NFT here is proof I visited the actual Guggenheim in Bilbao. Okay, Brad Pitt or Kim Kardashian could also be filmed entering the building. They could then auction off their experience to fans. Real estate NFTs already happening, but this could really expand in the following ways. So you can assign an NFT to any real estate property or plot of land. Why not? Users can transfer NFTs from the Ethereum account of the bank to another Ethereum account of the owner after paying off the mortgage. All property and land purchases, all contracts, all surveys, all documents associated with selling, property selling transaction could be NFT'd. Why not? You could co-own a holiday house with others and create an NFT to represent your fractional ownership and the other 9 fractions, and record the terms and sharing percentage between 10 owners. NFTs could replace shares of fractional interests in a real building owned by, for example, a housing cooperative corporation. So ownership of one apartment could be represented by ownership of a number of NFTs owned by the corporation. Shares in iconic buildings can already be sold. So you can buy shares in the Shard through IPSX, the International Property Securities Exchange. This is the first iconic building marketplace. Why not NFT those shares? It makes sense that you would be buying shares, you would be buying NFTs, not the shares themselves. Real estate NFTs are obvious inevitabilities that will improve efficiency and reduce fraud and friction in selling markets. But it's clear that for architecture, and what I call the supreme age of intangible capital, that the digital image is the liquid asset par excellence, and the new NFT space represents a profound intellectual and financial opportunity for the discipline. As I've alluded to, the key to financializing the architectural image is to establish a singular market for trading architecture NFTs or their attributes in a way that is appealing and acceptable to iconic architects, and leveraging the blockchain to make it happen. So here is my book, and I thank you.